I often talk about how Microsoft seems to do one thing that's pretty good, and then they do things that aren't really good. And it always almost follows up one after the other. Like anytime there is some kind of bad announcement or a good announcement, excuse me, you know that there's going to come a bad announcement not too long afterwards, and that's really a kind of a really crappy way to live if you're Microsoft, and it's an even crappy way to live if you're an Xbox gamer, because we all want to see Microsoft kind of succeed and be able to do the things that they need to do to stay active in the gaming industry as a console maker, mind you, not a third party. I realize that they'll probably have some third party success, and they'll have some third party failures. I mean, if you think about it, not everything that they've been doing is selling like hotcakes or anything like that. So we do have that to kind of look into as we kind of move along and things like that. At the end of the day. Now, Microsoft themselves have kind of been talking about some of this stuff for a little while now. And listen, I can't say that I agree with the way that they kind of handle some of these things, like their strategies and things like that. I don't think that it's a smart move on their part. But what do I know? But anyway, like this definitely was something. And this is the part, right? It's oftentimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing in Microsoft's case, and that's why people give them so much shit. Because if you even go back to the Xbox One situation, right? And we look at where we're at now. Everybody's online pretty much always. Everybody's like, oh, we love Game Pass, we love PlayStation Plus, we love this, we love that. But Microsoft did a really poor job of explaining what the Xbox One was all about. We've got varying stories from executives, oh, there's a 24-hour check-in, oh, there's a 48-hour check-in, oh, there's a 2-week check-in, oh, there's a 1-month check-in, oh, you can share the games with up to 10 people and they can play it too, etc., etc. You can't ever get used games. Like, this stuff was not really the case, and maybe we'll never know exactly what that Xbox vision was, but at the same point in time, where we're at right now, it's kind of interesting to see how that has evolved and how Microsoft still kind of screws up this way. I want to get into this though. Sorry for the delay. I'm Crap Gamer, of course, Crap Gamer Reviews, with another video. Like, share, subscribe, of course. And I do daily gaming content, fun yet informative, so keep that in mind. Now, as you guys know, Microsoft raised the prices of their Xbox consoles recently. A lot of people think this had to do with tariffs. It really didn't, because for the last couple of years, Phil Spencer and Microsoft has been talking about how they wouldn't be able to hold the prices the way that they are for long, and that the days of like consoles coming down in price were long gone. Which is a little bit unfortunate. So they raised prices by $100 and a little bit more than that. Basically means you can get a PS5 with Black Ops 6 for cheaper than an Xbox Series S. Think about that. I mean, that's Microsoft's budget console, and it is more expensive than a PS5 with Black Ops, right? And that's talking about just a plain Xbox Series S, no extra games or anything, more expensive than a PS5. And so Microsoft not only raised prices, but they raised prices right around the time where Sony does their State of Play week, where they lower prices, right? So you already had them raising the prices to be more expensive than PlayStation's, and then PlayStation lowered prices on top of that. That really seems like a big blunder. So according to this, Xbox should have expected the PS5 sale before increasing Series X and S prices. Back at the start of May last month, Xbox announced that the prices of console games and accessories would be going up in various regions across the world, with particularly major increases for Series X and S in the United States. This will inevitably result in fewer sales going forward for the two systems, but it was clearly a key move in Microsoft's eyes. What the company perhaps didn't anticipate was that the PS5 would receive a discount soon thereafter. As part of the Days of Play 2025 sale, the PS5 was slashed to as low as $399 for a digital version, representing a $150 savings on the new price of the digital Xbox Series X. And speaking on a recent episode of his YouTube channel, journalist Brad Sams, who publicly leaked the Xbox Series S back in 2020 and is a Microsoft guy, mind you, had this to say. This is just a self-inflicted wound that Microsoft could have very easily avoided. Yes, they probably were going to raise prices anyway, but if you know that your competitor always has a sale right around the first week of June, and you know that it always drives a lot of headlines because of it, maybe just wait. Do they really make that much more money between then and now? Sams went on to speculate that Microsoft felt Sony wouldn't run a sale on PS5 consoles this year due to challenging market conditions, suggesting that there was some naivety on their part if that was the case. Of course, the other possibility is that Microsoft, this is probably the one I'm leaning to, Microsoft simply doesn't care what Sony and the PS5 are doing anymore. There's a big push these days to make everything, quote unquote, an Xbox just beyond console, so there's no longer a heavy reliance on Xbox Series X and S sales. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer to think about. Personally, it doesn't seem sense to me that Microsoft is just ignoring the fact that Sony hosts sales like this at the same time every year. It makes sense that they probably should have waited an extra month before opting in these price increases, but maybe it also shows that the company truly isn't interested in the console anymore and truly isn't interested in what PlayStation is doing anymore, yeah, basically. It really, every move that Microsoft makes really does seem like Microsoft does not care about their console business, and that's a real shame, because I feel like the console business is probably the business that's going to do the best for them personally in terms of doing all these other things. Now, people look at this and they go, oh, well, their strategy's working, and I'm looking at this and I'm just saying to myself, how is it working? I mean, you have a couple things doing okay, but at the end of the day, Sony's going to get back into releasing more first-party stuff, and people who buy PlayStations for that are going to opt to go with the PlayStation first-party stuff. Microsoft hasn't really released anything mind-blowing. I mean, there's some decent good games in there, like the Doom game or whatever, but that flopped on PlayStation. Indiana Jones flopped on PlayStation. Hi-Fi Rush flopped on PlayStation. Pentiment flopped on PlayStation. So there's an opportunity there for some stuff, because obviously Sea of Thieves did okay, and Forza Horizon 5 did okay, but, those games are few and far between. I mean, Sea of Thieves came out, way back in 2017? So yeah, I mean, and Forza Horizon 5 came out in 2021. So, like, these things that are doing okay for Xbox are, kind of the bread and butter for Xbox in the first place. So, you have to kind of keep that in mind. There's only so much of that. Like, you can release Redfall on, you could release Redfall on PlayStation and it's not going to sell. Crackdown 3 is not going to sell. Bleeding Edge is not going to sell. Gears of War will probably sell for a novelty for a little bit. Halo's the same way. But I can't imagine stuff like Hellblade 2 selling well. Avowed's not going to sell well when they eventually port that over. I don't think Perfect Dark's going to sell well. I don't think, most of the stuff they have, State of Decay 3, that stuff isn't going to sell well, particularly on PlayStation. So, at some point, they might see the error and go, oh yeah, we're really kind of messed up. So now they're losing game sales. Right? They thought they had this golden goose where they could just get all this stuff from PlayStation gamers, like they were going to buy all their games if they put them on there, and that's not going to be the case. And then not only did they kind of screw up there, but they're also screwing up their own console sales, because realistically, you raise the prices, you have a platform that is over $100 more in some instances, and you have a situation where all your games are on the competing platform that's actually cheaper. So, I mean, unless you're like a huge Game Pass aficionado, there's not really much that I could do to kind of push that, they really kind of screwed up there, and it's hard to believe, it's just one of those things that kind of is happening. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. How do you guys feel? It's just one of those things that kind of realistically we have to look into. Microsoft really kind of screwed the pooch here, and it's unfortunate. But how do you guys feel? Let me know. You guys have been amazing. If you guys do enjoy the content, please let me know what you would like to see. All I really ask in return, I mean, if you want to subscribe, hey, that's great. If you don't want to subscribe, the least you could do is just hit the like button. I take the time out to do the videos, and it just would be cool to have a situation where you guys could like the videos and help them get seen and stuff like that. So really, really helps out tremendous amount. and I would love to see how this kind of works out for Microsoft. It's going to be super interesting to see how this works. But again, Microsoft, their own worst enemy, a lot of times, like that old Lit song. And we'll see how everything works out at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. As always, thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.